These are the actual questions that I think you would get in your first round of interview if you want to get a front-end developer role or a software developer role. In this video, I will talk about the first round of interview and everything that it entails. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Aisha and this is Aisha's's Tech Room, and we talk about everything tech and lifestyle. Now, without wasting much time, let's get started. I want to say that what I'm saying now, these are some of my personal experiences in having an interview as a front-end developer. And also, this particular case is an interview with a company that works in almost 40 countries around the world and partner with a Fortune 500 company. So it's a big deal, and it's actual interview questions. So hopefully this will help you in your next interview in becoming either a software developer or getting your front-end developer role. Okay, the first question that you will get when you are in an interview, an actual interview, is what do you know about this company? So the company that you were applying for. That is where you should, before coming to the interview, research about the company so you have an idea about what the company is all about. But I said I have looked online and had read a little bit about your company, but I would love to know more from you. And what they did was to do a PowerPoint presentation about the company, and that took almost like 30 minutes. So it's a good idea that you research about a company, but then also you want them to tell you more about their company. After that, they might ask you, who are you? Who is Aisha, for example? Here you should give your professional background. You should talk about your education, and you should also talk about your hobbies. And you should make it short and concise. Another question that they might ask you is, why do you want to leave your current role? That is where you mention your reason why you want to leave your job. And it could be maybe you are a consultant now and you want to move to a product company. Maybe you want to specialize in a certain field where this current company you are applying is specialized on, so you really want to work with them. That is also a good reason. Whatever your reasons are, make sure you state it to them just so they get a clear idea of why you want to leave your current job. Another question that you might get might be very much into the teams that you are working with. So they might ask you, how many of you are in your team? You should state how many people that you're working with, because the interviewer wants to have an idea of how many people that you work with in a team. They might also ask you of what your team members consist of. Here you should mention the roles that your team members have. For example, in my team, I had back-end developers, front-end developers. We had UX, UI designer. We had a product owner. So you have to mention the people that you have in your team. That is what they are eager to know. Another question that you might get is, how do you like working in your team? What I say typically is the energy, the collaboration, and the mentality of helping clients and putting client first always keeps me going to work in a team. So you need to mention how it works for you to the interviewer as well. You might get a question about what feedback do you give to a team member, and here they're talking about code reviews. So a typical answer that I gave was, for example, removing a console log when someone pushed their code. So you could say what are some of the typical feedback that you normally give, because sometimes people can forget some things on the code and you have to actually give a review about whatever that is, and then they will have to work on it and resend their code. So you need to think about what is that for you and try to mention that to the interviewer. Another thing that they might ask you is, what feedback do you get? And another answer that I gave, which is probably very common also, is that maybe I use a for loop in a certain function where I could have used a for each loop. And this feedback you can get from a senior developer, for example, because junior developers sometimes can have certain way of writing a code which might not be preferred by a senior developer. So I can get that type of feedback. So yeah. You might also get a question like, how do you work with UX, UI designers? Here they want to see like how you collaborate with other people, and you have to mention to them the way you collaborate, basically. So I mentioned like I work with UX, UI designers where they sketch or design a product and they send it to me, and then I look at it and try to implement the logic based on what their sketches or designs are. And you might get a follow-up question like, what happens when things does not work the way the UX or UI designer suggested? That is also very common because UX, UI designers sometimes, in my mind, have very unrealistic ways of designing things, and so you need to communicate to them how you need to implement it, because logically you are the one as a front-end developer who is going to implement whatever they design. And again, here they're testing your ways of collaborating and working with your team members. And so I got a lot of questions in terms of collaborating with team members when I'm working in a project. Another question that you might get is, do you work independently or do you work with teams on a daily basis? This mostly is connected to if you work independently or you work a lot with other people. You have to say if you work alone a lot, like if you work remotely, or if you pair program a lot with other colleagues, you need to mention that just so they know how best you work in a team and how best you solve a task independently or when you are collaborating with others. And that brings another follow-up question. How do you organize tasks in a team? Here they want to know how accustomed you are with different project management tools. For example, Trello, Jira, and so on. They want to know how you work with those tools. These are tools that are very common when you are working as a software developer or a front-end developer. So they want to know how familiarized you are with these tools, and you should be able to explain it to them how you work and organize your task. But if you don't work with that, you should tell them. Maybe it will be your opportunity if you get into that job to start working with these tools as well. Another question that you might get is, your GitHub has JavaScript and other languages. Do you have any side projects? That is also a question that I wasn't expecting, but they looked at your GitHub for sure, and they want to see whether you were doing other things or if you've been updating your GitHub or if you are recently working on a project. You might as well be prepared to get questions about your GitHub. The last question that I think you might also get, I got that too, is, do you consider yourself a junior developer or a senior developer? Yeah. My suggestion here is, if you've never worked as a front-end developer or a software developer, say you are a junior developer. If you had worked for like 2 years, you can say you're a middle developer or a mid developer. But if you have worked more than 4 or 5 years, you can call yourself a senior developer. But I feel like this question is very difficult to answer. And so you should be prepared to get a question like this, because I got that question and I was like, what? You have to be ready to answer that, because they want to know your level. They want to know where you are at right now and to determine if they want to recruit you or not. And I think that's the reason why they ask that question. Overall, these are the actual questions that I think you would get in your first round of interview if you want to get a front-end developer role or a software developer role, because they want to generally get to know you. You don't get any technical questions when you are on this interview. They want to get to know you. They want to interact with you, to get to know you as a person and nothing more. So remember, just to wrap it up, the first thing might be an introduction of the company, your knowledge about the company. Why do you want to leave your current role? How many people are in your team? What are the roles that consist of your current team? How is it like working in your current team? What feedback do you typically get? What feedback do you typically give? How do you work with UX UI designers? What happens when things does not work well with the suggestion of a UX or a UI designer? Do you work independently or with a team on a daily basis? How do you organize your task? And lastly, are you a junior or a senior developer? I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, hit the subscribe button, like or comment, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.